Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content. This has been a strange week of practice for the Cleveland Browns. It's been a strange week of practice for the Green Bay Packers. The vibes going into this game this week are everything but normal and everything more geared towards strange, right? On the Packers side, you got Tucker Kraft, who injured himself in the middle of the week and did not practice today. His status is up in the air. They were answering questions about whether he's going to go on IR today, which I don't think anybody expected at the beginning of this week. So you got that whole thing going on if you're the Green Bay Packers. The Cleveland Browns have strange things happening as well, right? Andre Schmidt just popped up on the injury report today. He's hurt. Mike Hall still out. I think that's a bit strange given that they didn't put him on PUP. And this is apparently all part of the plan. We'll talk about all of this and everything else. Another weird thing for the Green Bay Packers, not just this week, but just in this stretch of the schedule. This Browns game, this game on the road in Cleveland against a very good defense, is sandwiched in between two games that, one of them was on national TV against Commanders. And I have to imagine next week when they play the Dallas Cowboys, that has to be on national TV, right? Like, I can't imagine if that game's on 1 o'clock on a Sunday. Micah Parsons' return to Dallas, that's going to be one of the biggest games of the weekend, right? That's one of the biggest games of the season. That's one of the games that everybody tunes in for. But before you do that, you got to see Myles Garrett and Cleveland Browns. And the Browns are 0-2. So, this gives trap game vibes for the Green Bay Packers. We'll see if the Browns can capitalize on that, right? And the reason I'm saying it gives trap game vibes to the Green Bay Packers is simple. If you're the Packers and you're looking at this game, it's easy to overlook. You're heavily favored. You're the better football team. But if we look at some of the smaller details in this matchup, and it gets a little stranger, right? The Packers haven't really played a defensive line as strong as the Cleveland Browns. They just haven't. Jordan Love, he makes some questionable decisions under pressure. Keep in mind that he's potentially going to be without Tucker Kraft. He's going to be without Jaden Reed. He's out Christian Watson is not in there. So we're talking about an offense that's going to be heavily depleted going against what could be their toughest challenge of the season. If you think the Browns defense is better than how the Lions performed in week 1, which all the numbers would indicate that would be the case, then you can see where there are some opportunities here for the Cleveland Browns. Now, again, I'll talk about this in a video I'm going to drop tomorrow. But the Browns need to get turnovers to win this game. Point blank, period. Like, the one thing the defense, as good as the Browns defense has been, and I've praised them and given them their due when it was due, but the one thing they have not done is get turnovers. They need to get turnovers, right? This week, they're not going to beat the Green Bay Packers unless they get turnovers. But there's going to be opportunity, in my mind, for turnovers because you got Jordan Love going against a really tough defensive line. He already makes bad decisions when he's not pressured. He makes questionable decisions all the time. And now he's throwing to less talent in that wide receiver core. The Browns' weakness on this defense is their secondary. Right now, the Packers are running light on receivers. And if they're without Tucker Kraft, that's a big way of how they attack the slot. And truth be told, if you're going to attack the slot with the tight end, that helps the Browns because then they could put Grant Delpit in the slot and not have to worry about Cam Mitchell being overexposed in that position. There's a lot to talk about with this game. We just got the final injury statuses, at least for the Cleveland Browns, coming into it. We're going to discuss that and all that going forward. But before I do that, I want to thank my sponsor for today, Sleeper. Hey, real quick, I want to tell you about a little bit of a sleeper of an app called Sleeper. Has fantasy, has news feed, has picks. You can do it all on the Sleeper app. Make sure you use it. Sign up using the promo code WORSTTAKE and get to a 100% match on up to $100. When you use promo code WORSTTAKE, again, a 100% match for up to $100. When you use promo code WORSTTAKE, you have a great day. Now, let's continue the video. I know Browns fans are coming into this game with their head down, not feeling great. I think there's a bit more panicking going on for an 0-2 start that we all expected than what should be. You know, I think a lot of what's going on, a lot of what the energy is a bit premature. And I think that prematureness ties back to people's excitement to see some of these younger quarterbacks. I don't think if we don't draft, if the Browns did not draft Dillon Gabriel, or let's say they did draft Dillon Gabriel, but they didn't draft Shedeur Sanders, or if they didn't draft any of the rookie quarterbacks, I don't think people would be trying to bench Joe Flacco after 2 weeks. 2 games. One of those games he was actually decent in. The other game he was bad in, but it was the Baltimore Ravens. I feel like we would have more understanding of the sample size that we have seen. But since people are excited to see Shedeur, people are excited to maybe even see Dillon Gabriel, there is more incentive to be eager to get the ball rolling, which is why I think people are like, we got to bench the quarterback. We got to do this. We got to panic. We got to do it. It's a little early. It's week 2. It's September. Everybody, and look, I say this with love, everybody, might benefit from calming the down a little bit. You know, you like that? You like the little button there? As I'm trying to save sense in the cuss jar, right? Because I've been cussing too much recently. But yeah, everybody should calm down a little bit. Just a little bit, right? We're all excited. We want to see the rookies. People are convinced that what a 3rd rounder and a 5th rounder does is going to dictate what the Browns do in the 1st round. I'm telling you right now, that's not the case. The Browns will make their decision on what they're going to do at quarterback in 2026, not really based on the performance of these rookies as much as based on what their options are. Like, keep in mind, right, for everybody who's like, yeah, we need to play Dillon right now, or we need to play Shedeur right now so we find out about him. One, if you throw them out there before they're ready and they don't look done, they look like a quarterback going out there before they're ready and they stink, did you really find out anything about them? Honest question. Or did you just confirm your own biases? Because I think all that we can do right now, this part of the season, with the amount of time that we have, is confirm our biases. We can't actually figure out if somebody could play quarterback in the NFL in just one season, let alone a portion of a season, let alone by throwing them out there in the toughest stretch of the season. You're not going to find out anything. Dillon's going to go out there, play bad. You're going to confirm your biases and say, let's go get Shedeur. And if Shedeur goes out there and plays bad, you're either going to confirm your biases about the coaching staff and say it's Kevin's fault, he needs to be fired because Shedeur looks bad. Or if you're not a Shedeur fan, you're going to confirm your biases about Shedeur. Nobody's figuring out anything this season about any of these quarterbacks. We're just confirming biases. That's why all the excitement is out there about trying to throw these quarterbacks in there, because you just want to confirm what you already think you know. Or at least that's what some people want to do. I'm not interested in confirming my biases. I want my biases to be disproven, because I'm not convinced that either of these two are going to be the answer, but I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I don't want to do I told you so on this. I would love to be wrong. I would love to have a quarterback. I would love to stop having to talk about quarterback. But that's not where we are. So, yeah, I think the fan base is a little down going into this game, a little bit more than they should be. I think there is an opportunity here for the Cleveland Browns to win this game. And if the Browns can win this game and maybe pick up one more in this first 6 weeks, they can be in a position to actually do damage for the rest of the season. Because if you look at the Browns' schedule after these first 6 weeks, it lightens up considerably. Honestly, after the first 5 weeks, the schedule lightens up. Because, yeah, we play Green Bay this week. We go to Detroit next week. Tough. Those two teams might be in the NFC Championship. No sugarcoating that. The Minnesota Vikings are not playing at the same level that they were last year when they were a 13-win team. They look like a team that might have a bit of a down year after a high season. Now, they're still a good team, but they aren't where the Packers are right now. They aren't where the Baltimore Ravens are right now. They aren't where the Detroit Lions are right now. So that's a winnable game, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, that game's in Pittsburgh. You know how I feel about that. I don't ever feel good about a game in Pittsburgh. But if you looked at how the Steelers have been playing recently, it's not been great. They play the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, the New York Jets. They get the Baltimore Ravens at home. The Browns have split with the Ravens recently on a fair, especially in the Kevin Stefanski era. Las Vegas, that's a tough game because it's in Vegas, but, you know, the Browns are similarly talented to Vegas, right? And Vegas hasn't really looked great to start the season. The 49ers, that'd be a tough game, but you get them at home. And the last time you played them at home, you beat them with P.J. Walker, and they were a better team than they are right now. The Tennessee Titans, the Chicago Bears. You get the Bills. You get the Bills before Christmas. That's not a layup. Nobody's acting like that's going to be the case. But then you play the Steelers, and then whatever the Cincinnati Bengals and the Browns are doing in Week 18, we get that game as well. So my point here is it's real easy to get caught up in these first 2 weeks and say, oh my God, we look terrible. We can't beat the teams we're playing. But we're playing some of the best teams in the NFL. And we did not expect the Cleveland Browns to be an over 500 football team coming into this season, right? We hoped that they could surprise us, but I've been predicting since the end of last season that this team was going to go under 500 this season. Now, they could surprise us and go over 500. If they win 2 games in this first 6 weeks, I think they have the chance to go over 500. But nothing that's happened in the first 2 weeks has been that much of a surprise, right? I think people have been, overreacting because they want to get down the quarterback ladder, because they want to confirm whatever biases they have about the quarterback or throw the coach under the bus for a young quarterback not looking good. That's my opinion. That's why I think everybody's so thirsty about this whole quarterback thing. Or maybe they just want to see something new, right? They're tired of looking at Joe Flacco. They want to look at something new. I've been there before, right? I remember when the Browns were playing Josh McCown, and I hated it. I wanted Johnny to play so bad. I was a teenager, mind you. I wasn't an adult yet, but I was a teenager. But I wanted Josh McCown out so bad so I could watch Johnny football play terrible. Because I wanted to see something different, right? Like, I get where most fans are. I don't think it's the most productive thing to do for the Cleveland Browns. And I understand that that might not feel good for the fan base, but, you are where you are. But let's look at the injury report, right? Because we kind of talked about where the fan base is. I think people are a little bit down on the team right now, understandably so. But also, I think there's an opportunity this week for this football team to really surprise some folks, because certain things are lining up for them. But first, we have to look at this injury report because there are some significant problems that pose themselves for the Browns on this injury report. So the Browns' status is for this week: Joe Bitonio, questionable. I think he's going to at least play at the beginning of this game. I don't know if he finishes the game, right? He has a back injury. Joe's back has been bothering him the last few years of his career. It's really defined his downturn as a guard. I know people are like, well, let's just throw Tevin Jenkins out there and see what happens. I don't know, man. Joe wasn't bad last week. Tev had one good preseason game, but a couple of questionable performances. I'm not ultra confident in him, but if you got to put him in because Joe can't play, I'm fine with that. But I do think Joe's at least going to start the game. If it is clear that he can't anchor, that his back can't hold up, then I think they'll pull him. But he will at least be active this week, I think. That's my guess. DeAndre Carter, questionable. Okay. Jack Conklin, questionable. Big deal. Browns need him back, or they need Cornelius Lucas to play better. Jack Conklin has been missed in the run game, and Jack Conklin has been missed in the pass protection game. And I get where people are coming from, where they're saying, why are we in a position where Jack Conklin is still important, given that he has demonstrated himself to be unreliable? And I don't blame people for thinking that. I want the Browns to draft Rosengarten a couple of years ago, but he went in the second round instead of third. Browns didn't get a chance to get him. So I get it. I wish the Browns had another option other than Jack Conklin to rely on, but that's just where they are, right? Jack Conklin is questionable. They need him in this game. That'll be a big deal for him. Andre Schmidt, we talked about this at the beginning of the video. He's questionable. The kicker hurt himself kicking in practice. Now, me personally, I see this as an opportunity. I see this as an opportunity. I want the Browns to go and get another kicker. You know how I feel about this, right? Once a kicker demonstrates themselves to be unreliable, I have no interest in continuing to tough it out with them. The Browns love toughing it out with kickers. I don't get it. I don't have that same joy in my heart to sit here and want to tough it out with Andre Schmidt. I'm good. Once he has demonstrated himself unreliable, I'm going into the kicker pantry, I'm grabbing somebody else, and I'm throwing them out there. That's what I'm doing. Find somebody until there's somebody out there that doesn't miss the kicks. It is crazy how hard it is to find a kicker when in every other level of this sport, right? You look at the spring leagues, you look at college, every other level, it is not that hard to find a kicker. But somehow in the NFL, it becomes difficult. I need to know. If I was a team, I would hire a sports psychologist to specialize in whatever is going on with kickers during the transition from college football to the NFL. I was at a Georgia Tech game, CK Klubnik play against Georgia Tech. I saw a kicker run out there, make a 57-yard field goal with no timeout, had to rush on there, make a kick. And I'm thinking, that's all the pressure in the world right there. Biggest upset of the season so far. If you make that kick, guy makes the kick. But that same guy probably comes to the NFL and looks like Dookie. I don't get it. We need to spend more resources in football on kickers to figure out what is going on. Because this don't make no sense. I can't be the only one this makes no sense to. It makes no sense. It's baffling to me. Another thing that's baffling to me, and I talked about this yesterday, so I'll be brief. Mike Hall is out for this game. And I've heard some of the responses to my rant from yesterday about, maybe Mike Hall wasn't put on PUP because you can't have him practice limited. But my issue is, one, now Mike Hall isn't even practicing limited anymore, right? He went from limited practices to just straight up being on the bike, which is strange to me. If there were a setback, I would understand it. I feel like there had to have been a setback here. But they're not telling us it's a setback. All we have to go off of publicly is what the team says, and the team is telling us this is part of the plan. Again, I did my rant yesterday, so if you want to know more about how I feel about this, watch that video. But I'll be brief here. Either this is going one or two ways. Either the Browns are being secretive for no reason about this injury, and he had a setback and they don't want to tell us, and I think that's stupid. The other way this goes is that he didn't have a setback. This is actually the plan, and they didn't put him on PUP because they thought he could maybe play one extra game, which I think is stupid. Even if we're factoring in, he can limit practice, right? What are you really doing in a limited practice as a defensive tackle? Why is that important? I don't, explain it to me if you were the Browns, so I can understand the decision that they're making, but they're not. So all I have to go off of is what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing looks stupid. And that's what I'm just stamping the Mike Hall thing as another injury situation that looks stupid for the Cleveland Browns. And this has happened far too often. I know they switched out a lot of the trainers in the offseason. Doesn't look like much has changed. This is the same stuff that went on with Jed Wills last year and Jack Conklin last year. This is the same stuff, man. This is the same stuff. I'm over it. I'm over that. So yeah, they got to figure out whatever's going on with Mike Hall here. I don't understand why he wasn't on PUP if he wasn't going to play Like if he wasn't gonna play 2 games before the PUP exemption, why ain't he on PUP? I don't get it. I don't think any of the explanations I've heard feel sufficient right now, other than they think he might be able to play in week 4. But really? I don't know. It don't make no sense to me. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but I don't like it. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's my thoughts so far about this week. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.